Hello, I'm Hannah and welcome to my 6-part series of Find Your Flight, where I'll be teaching you the basics of aerial yoga and one of its greatest benefits, which is spinal release and decompression. Let's go ahead and jump into today's lesson. Woohoo! Today is Inversion Day. We made it. So we want to make sure that you've checked out all of those other videos before you've dived straight into today's practice. And all of those videos are going to be the building blocks that you need to be able to take flight and be able to invert safely and securely. And I guess the big question is why? Why are we inverting? It's all about that decompression, baby. Decompression of the spine. So it is inversion time. That's what we're all here for, that decompression of the spine. And it really does take a few steps to get to this point. So make sure you have checked out those 5 videos that have led us to this point. And it might be that today you don't even invert fully. It might be that you need someone to be near you whilst you do it, just so that you feel a little more safe as well. But hopefully those 5 steps have built you to a place where you are able to feel a sense of security in your body, a sense of security in knowing that this fabric can hold you and your weight as well. So last week I showed you and I quickly went over the fact that we want the fabric at our hip height for a high level hammock. That's what we've been working with through each lesson, but I went into a little more detail about it last week. I'm just going to recap that again today because it is super important to have the hammock at the right height so that your head does not touch the ground. So I mentioned last time that we are all slightly different shaped, which might mean that the height of the hammock needs to be slightly adjusted to that. I'm just going to show you roughly the height that I've got mine. We want to stand around the back edge, take hold of the fabric so that your hands are at least hip width. I go a little bit wider here. Stand under plumb line, that center point between the 2 pillars of fabric, and then press down so that your little finger and index finger are the same level inside the fabric. This is known as a push grip. You want to press down and releve, come up onto your tiptoes, and then push the fabric down. It might have some give like mine does. On your tiptoes, you want the fabric to be no lower than your hip flexor height. I have a short torso, so from my hip bone to my shoulder is a lot shorter than from my hip bone to my heel. So I'm short torso, you might be the opposite, long torso, shorter legs, or you might be even, the torso and the length of your legs. So if you're short torso and longer legs like me, you could probably get away with the fabric being a little bit lower than someone that has a longer torso, because if you're longer in the torso, your head is going to be closer to the ground. So if you're a long torso person, definitely do not go lower than what you see in my body now. So on my tiptoes, roughly where the hip flexors are, I'm a fraction lower because I can be. If I'm on flat feet, it's roughly where the hip bones are. It could be a fraction lower for someone like me with a short torso. So if you've got a long torso, make sure you are no lower than what you see in my body on the screen here. Come round to the front edge of your fabric. We're going to fold it just like last lesson. Grab one edge, facing it, step away from plumb line, sway it out like a big flag. Keeping your front hand, holding that first edge. Grab hold of the back edge with the other hand. So I have one edge in each hand. Now bring your hands together up underneath plumb line. Once your hands are together and the two edges are together, the back hand, that second hand, is going to keep hold of the two edges in the sky. The front hand, which was your first hand that held onto it, is going to take the gather and that fold of fabric at the bottom. Then just level out your hands so that they are the same height. Release that back hand, walk towards the front and start to turn your back into the fabric. Now, bring both thumbs into that folded edge behind your back. So my thumbs have just caught the edge of that fabric there. It's the folded piece. Stay forwards of plumb line and we're taking 3 generous handfuls. 1, 2, 3. Step back under plumb line, bring your elbows to the inside of the fabric. I've just looked up to make sure I'm under plumb line. Hands a little wider than your hips. Releve onto your tippy toes. Shift the weight to 1 foot, hover that knee, press down and drag that fabric right up behind the back of your knees. Hands will rise up and then they'll lower around the back edge. So remember, we've tried to reduce the amount of fabric here. Great way to learn how to invert as a beginner when we fold that fabric. It isn't necessarily what you'll do continuing on, but this is a fantastic way so that we don't have to think too much, what do I need to do with that back piece, which at a later date will come for us. All right, so last week we worked a little bit of core drills into our practice. We're going to do that second variation, which is like a big sort of circular motion or semicircle that we're going to create. So we'll add on a little bit to it, So last week we worked bum bum ba dum bum. So last week we worked some core drills into our practice in our pouch in the fabric. And that second drill that we did, we sort of created a bit of a starfish shape with the legs. So we're going to add on to that to start off with. Still building core and awareness of core. Last week we kept our gaze continuously forwards. We didn't look up, we didn't look back. In this drill, we will start to look up and very slightly back, but you're not trying to think about looking to the floor behind you. You'll just be looking ever so slightly back, continuously keeping your gaze at your feet, okay? So let's go ahead and meet in lever pose like we did last time. Bring the hands up high, thumb to the back edge, fingers to the front, and start to lower yourself. Extend the toes. So remember, you are looking forwards at your feet. Try not to go too low with your torso or your hands here, and hold on so that you feel really firm with your grip, but also relaxed through the grip. So you're not over clenching in the body. Okay, so you're going to bring the knees in, lift the feet up towards the ceiling, keep your gaze at your feet continuously. Lower the legs, straight line, push the hips down and forwards as you drive the feet lower than your hips, widen the toes, and then draw the knees out as you bring the heels in and wrap your feet around the back edge so they're the same side that your arms are. I'm looking at my feet. I have not let my hands lower. And then bring the feet forwards, come back to lever. We're going to do that again. So it's a bit of a complicated drill. Take your time with it. Bring the knees in, I apologize. Feet up, lower the feet, drive the hips forwards, widen the feet. Bend the knees and then bring your feet around the back edge. Could your feet go any further back? Hold on tight. There's some core needed here. And then relax the feet forwards or bring the feet forwards, lever. Bring the knees in. Feet go high. Lower the legs, lever, but continue down. Widen the feet. Draw the knees in and touch the feet around the back edge. This is our last one. And then bring yourself up to seated. So we're nearly ready to let go. The thing that I was trying to get you to avoid doing is looking straight for the ground. Try to make that one of your last moves when you invert and come upside down. Keep your gaze towards your feet pretty much most of the time. Now, once you're upside down, left, right, up, down feels a little strange. So remember, I'm going to use these terms: floor, ceiling, okay? Your feet are towards the ceiling when you're upside down. Your head is towards the floor when you're upside down. Floor, ceiling. These cues are hopefully going to be useful. You're also going to use the cue of looking towards your navel. So when you're upside down, looking to your navel, will also be looking the direction of your feet, because your feet are higher than your head and your navel. So we're going to do that one more time. My suggestion is to observe this and then try it with me. So first one's going to be observation, and then we'll go ahead and invert. I'd like to show you how you go upside down and then back up again, nice and safely, and then I'll do it again, and hopefully you can join me on that second time. So observing first round. I'm going to set up in the same way. Hands high, grip, lower the grip as you extend the legs to lever. Bring the knees in. Keep the feet upwards, keep the gaze up. Lower the feet, circle those feet, knees bent, bring the feet around the back edge where your arms are. Now, bring your feet, your ankles closer to the fabric, around that back edge, the same side that your head and your arms are. And then soften the grip. I'm loosening the grip as my ankles get closer to the fabric. Either have soles of feet together or reverse monkey grip those feet. And I've hooked them around the fabric. So I'm still looking towards my feet, and then finally softening. And it's not that I want to necessarily look at the ground, because that means my throat will open up. I'm actually just trying to look at the back wall behind me. So at that point, you do not even have to let go yet. But if you feel like you can, you're going to slowly let go with one hand at a time. Some of us find this a little intimidating the first time, and you're trying to find where the floor is because you think you have to touch the ground to keep you suspended in air. You do not need to press down. I'd like to just demonstrate what happens when we press our hands into the earth. When you press down, we tend to feel particularly unsafe, because then you have nothing holding you in the fabric through the hips. So just be aware that pressing down actually makes us feel a little more insecure. So try your best to just let the hands rest onto the floor and the earth. Maybe bring the arms out wide, palms face up, so you rest the back of the hands into the earth. Now, a little tip here is to not let go through your core right away. I did a little bit, I was talking, I wasn't really concentrating too much on that at that moment, and I know that I'm safe in my spine. But the first few moments when you come upside down, see if the lower ribs can stay contained a little bit. Your navel and your core is slightly engaged, so that your hip bones and your lower ribs become more in alignment. And then only over time, if it feels comfortable enough, you could start to relax and release. But for everybody, right away, that may not be suitable. Let the head be relaxed or the neck be relaxed. And just feel into the inversion. We're going to come back up, so just noting this is our observation time. You look up towards your feet and your navel. Then you want to reach your hands towards your feet, towards the ceiling. That's where we need to really engage the core, to grab the pillars of fabric by those ankles between the thighs. Feet will go out to the side as you pull up. As you come up through lever,
already bring the fabric behind the back of the knees, and you might want to rest in a relaxed floating child's pose. Remember, it's folded, so you won't want to go super far forwards, but you might notice as you come up some tingling in the feet and just seeing what happens with your breath and your eye vision. So this second round you're going to do with me. I might be able to offer a few more cues, but just take it in your own time. You want to come and meet in lever pose. Bring the hands high and grip, lowering the torso same level as your feet. Keep the gaze at your feet throughout until the very last part. So knees tuck in, feet rise, lower the legs, lower than the hips, drive the fabric behind the back of the thighs, bring those legs wide, bend the knees, touch your feet around the back edge, then bring your feet and your ankles closer to the fabric as your hands soften their grip, and keep the gaze towards your feet until finally you feel like you could start to let go. And it might be before you let go, you do just check out, okay, that's where the ground is. Please try to remember, don't press your hands firmly into the ground. Just relax the neck, look to the back edge of the room, and then one at a time, maybe the hands will soften. When we're new to this, you won't want to stay inverted for a long time, maybe only 30 seconds or so, or less even, to begin with, and we'll start to build on that time. Big thing to remember is for some of us, it's really essential to keep a little core control throughout, or certainly at the beginning of this pose. So a tiny little hug of lower ribs in to meet the alignment of the hip bones. If in time you can relax, go ahead and do so. Try, however, to let the shoulders and the head relax, whatever variation you've gone for. You could also have the hands in front of your face, extending those arms, relaxing the elbows. So we're going to practice coming up together. You want to see if you can remember where your belly button is. So look towards your belly button and your feet. Grab maybe one hand at a time. Engage the core enough that you can firmly hold on. Then the feet come round to the front edge. You might go through a bit of a lever as you pull that fabric behind the back of the knees, sitting, and then just letting yourself drape a little bit forwards. We always want the arms caught around the back edge of the fabric when we're sat in our pouch. And perhaps a deep inhale through the nose and a sigh away. So you're so welcome to try that a few more times. And as I mentioned when we were upside down, it takes time to build that sensation in the body of bringing blood towards the brain. And as you come up, you might have noticed, if you're not wearing socks, a change of color in your feet or a tingling sensation in your feet as the blood comes back towards the toes, the ankles, the calves. So great for circulation and really fabulous for an elongation of the spine, and finally that decompression that we've all been after. I'm going to safely once again guide you to your feet. Bring the hands high, grip firmly, elbows hug in, push the thighs down. Gently bring your feet to the earth. Reach the arms up, inhale, step forwards. Thumbs lightly pressed to the center of heart. Perhaps close the eyes or lower the gaze. Take another inhale through the nose. A sigh away. Thank you so much for joining this 6-part series of Find Your Flight, a journey to find decompression of our spine. If this practice resonates with you, check out the details that I'll add in the description box below. I am involved with virtual teacher trainings in collaboration with the wonderful Renee Stevens from Creative Body Flow, who created this world-class teacher training course for aerial yoga therapeutics. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like it below, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon. Not only will this keep you up to date with my offerings, but will keep content like To The Being free and accessible to all.